You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Snowdonia is quite rightly one of our favourite national parks, and each year millions of people come to visit, many of us walkers and climbers, as well as those devoted to all kinds of other outdoor pursuits. But one of the things that has always fascinated me about Snowdonia is just how few walkers venture beyond the obvious hotspots of Snowdon, the Glidders and Tryfan. Sure, these routes are great fun, they're exciting, but they do get very busy at weekends and holiday times, not least, I guess, because Snowdonia is such a convenient place for so many of us to take a quick weekend break. Yet Snowdon boasts 823 square miles of national park, and much of this remains relatively undiscovered. For this lightweight special, I set out to see just how much I could cram into a weekend of lightweight hiking and wild camping in Snowdonia. I was joined by the lightweight star of the 2007 TGO Challenge, Colin Ibbotson, who not only shared the experience of the weekend, but took the opportunity to talk to me about some of the long-distance walks that he's undertaken in different parts of the world. You join us as we drive along the A5 towards North Wales. As ever, the conversation was about the weather. Things were looking good. Colin, it looks as if you've got cracking weather.
It does, Andy. Yeah, at the moment it's beautiful. I'm just hoping it's going to last for the full weekend, and then we can enjoy our weekend under our tarps.
Now, there's not much of a plan. We weren't sure quite what time we'd get up to the hills tonight, so we've got 2 or 3 possibles. So we'll wait until we get a bit nearer Snowdonia and then choose the route we're going to go. But we could end up in the Cornado, we could end up in the Mulwins, but as Colin hinted there, we're going to be using our tarps. This is classic tarp weather, I hope.
It's perfect at the moment. There's light winds, it's sunny, so I can't think of a better time to be using them.
Okay, now they're both pretty small, pretty lightweight tarps. Mine is spinnaker fabric. You just described yours as very minimalist, so what kind of fabric is it made out of?
Mine's made out of Cuban fibre, and it's made in this country by a guy who advertises on eBay. It's made by a guy called Morph, who has a little shop on eBay, and he had this one made specially for me. And it's pretty much the lightest full-size tarp I've seen. It comes out an incredible 80 grams, which for an 8-foot by 5-foot tarp is absolutely amazingly light. By the time you get all your guys on there and your adjusters on there, it brings up to 100 grams, but it's absolutely unbelievably light.
Okay, now just to give people listening an idea about that, my Spinnaker 2-person tarp, which I've got with me, weighs about 250, 260 grams. A Psy nylon single-person tarp is usually up at about 330, 350, something like that. So 100 grams is pretty light. Now, Cuban fibre is quite new on the scene in hiking. You begin to see a lot of it in the States, but this is a pretty high-tech material, isn't it?
It's very high tech. It's the first time I've seen it or used it, and when you first actually look at the stuff, you think, it's just going to fall apart. But it is amazingly strong stuff, and as for long-term durability, only time will tell.
But waterproof.
It is waterproof. Yeah, it's been rained on and it's kept me totally dry. It's been such a small tarp, it's not ideal for use in the wind because the wind will blow the rain underneath. So you need to use it with some kind of bivy bag. I've got a little water-resistant bivy bag that I use for that.
Okay, well, this weekend should be absolutely perfect tarp weather. When we stepped into the car about 10 minutes ago, it was almost too hot to sit inside the car. And funnily enough, as soon as we point the nose in the direction of North Wales, the clouds have started coming down, but we're promised a good weekend, so it should be great fun. So let's look forward to the ridges of Snowdonia and also to playing with those tarps. Well, we're here in Snowdonia at the northern end of the Cornado. We followed in the car a tiny little track that, about as far as we could get. Found a little car park, which I think has been built to service the electric pylons, and then we walked for about, I guess, half an hour, 40 minutes or so, and we found a nice spot near a little reservoir tucked away in the heights. Stream and waterfall behind us. Colin, happy?
Yeah, it's a good little spot. I think I've had a good short walk up here. And the weather's still holding out, though it's a bit grey at the moment, but overall we can't complain, can we?
No, it looks as if it might be a nice day today. And the 2 tarps are up. My tarp, a spinnaker tarp, and Colin's made of this new Cuban fibre, which is very, very thin and very, very light, but he assures me he's very tough. And we'll talk about the gear probably in the morning. But it's not always easy to find the right kind of pitch, even with a tarp, is it?
No, we struggle a bit. It's a bit lumpy, the ground around here, and it's a lot of heather and stuff like that. So we struggled a bit to find the pitch, didn't we?
Yeah. And we're both, well, you're just eating away there. My food's just still cooking in its pot cosy. But I brought with me a meth stove, white box stove, which is I'm very impressed with. And you were using an Esbit stove.
Yeah, I brought a little homemade Esbit stove that uses the actual windscreen as a part of the pan support. You actually use one of your titanium pegs as the other part of the support, and it works very well. It's cooked my dinner as quick as yours, I would say, and it's very economical and fuel. The whole thing only weighs 17 grams, so for what it is, it's amazing.
Of course, you don't have to get the food to a rolling boil, really, do you, to cook it away?
You don't have to, no, but it certainly did. It certainly was boiling away nicely.
Yeah, impressive piece of kit. Anyway, just looking around here, there's a bit of cloud and a tiny little bit of wind, but not very much. But there's still quite a lot of clear sky up there, so we're hopeful that in the morning we're going to have a nice day and a nice walk. We're well positioned for the beginning of the ridge that should see us walk all the way to Carnad Llewellyn, and if the visibility is anything like this, it's going to be one stunning day tomorrow.
It is. I'm really hoping this weather's going to hold for us. I'm sure it will.
Yes, it's going to be one of those weekends that Steve Ashton, who writes the Snowdonia book, says, ridge walkers have it better than anybody else.
I hope you're right, Andy.
Yeah, okay, well, we're going to finish off and we'll speak to you in the morning. Well, we've awoke to a lovely morning. The sun's now shining over the side of the hills. It's about 8:45. We've had a nice gentle start today, but lots of blue sky. And not a bad night, Colin.
No, I had a very peaceful night, apart from being visited once or twice by a very, very friendly Welsh sheep. Fortunately, I managed to shoo it away in the end, but this morning it's beautiful at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, the sheep seem to be very interested in your cooker.
Well, I'm not sure it was just the cooker, or whether it was the sleeping bag as well. It seemed to get very, very, a bit too cosy for me.
They're obviously not frightened of humans, these sheep. I woke up this morning and just looking at the tarp, I saw a young lamb bounding towards me, rushed straight past, nearly garroted himself on the cords of the tarp. But there were also a few million other little visitors as well.
There are a few little midgets as well, which are also unwelcome visitors. Seem to be pretty much everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose there's not a great deal we can do about that. Anyway, funnily enough, as soon as we got out the tarps, it seemed to get a bit better. They seemed to like to be sheltering underneath. But it looks as if we're going to have a really stunning day today, and so we're going to climb up onto the little summit of Drum, which is about 770 metres, and then from there it's a gentle southwesterly walk over the ridges Folfra, Garned Ukaf, Folgrach and Carnad Llewellyn. And then when we get there, I don't know what time that'll be, but I suppose we'll have to have a think about what we do next.
Yeah, it looks like you've picked a really good route, and the weather should make it spectacular. And we'll just see how it goes and take each hour as it comes.
Yeah, there is something very strange about Snowdonia at weekends and bank holidays. It's, you go into Capel and Llanberis and they're full of people who are here for 2 or 3 days, and they rush up Tryfan and you can hear them, whoops of joy and lots of excitement going on there. And then you meet them the next day in the pub, all knackered because they're all stiff and everything. But what we're showing is even in 2 days, a quick break here, you can actually get well away from everybody. I mean, this is as good a wild campsite as you'd find.
It's a very, very, very good campsite, and so far we haven't actually seen anybody, have we, or even any signs of other people. So I think we've got away from everybody, which is good.
Interesting to see when we do see them. Anyway, so we're going to pack up now and head up to the ridge, and no doubt at that point we'll have a chat about gear, because that's obligatory. We have to chat about gear. But also, it'd be nice to talk to you, Colin, about some of the long distance walking you've done, because a lot of people know you now through the podcasts as being a lightweight enthusiast, but basically you do that because of your passion for long distance walking.
I do, yeah. I really enjoy my long distance walking, so yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay, well maybe we'll find a nice little sunny shaded spot somewhere on the ridge and we can have a chat then. Well, we're back again. We've been walking for a couple of hours now, and we've just got to the just below the summit of Corned Llewellyn, and we've discovered a little emergency shelter built by the Climbing Club of North Wales and Carnarvonshire. I bet this place has saved a few lives.
I bet it has. It's a good little find, this, wasn't it? We didn't exactly know it was here, and it's a bit like a Scottish buffet, but a little bit more basic, perhaps.
Yeah, I've certainly always approached this hill from either Bethesda or from the Ogren Valley, so I've not seen. You just wouldn't come across it if you didn't know it was here. But it's one small little room, probably enough space to get 3 or 4 people in if you were desperate, but built solidly out of stone, and open access for everybody, which is good. And the weather's slowly beginning to clear.
It has. We had a little patch of cloud and a little bit of rain, which was a bit unexpected, but it has started to clear up again now, so I've got high hopes for the afternoon.
And not a soul in sight anywhere.
No, we haven't seen a single sight of anybody, apart from that one cyclist that we saw really early on, far in the distance, but apart from that, nobody.
Yeah, that was one of those rather horrible hiking moments, wasn't it? We kind of looked round and thought, shit, that bloke's going really fast. And Colin got out his monocular and realised he was on a bike.
Yeah, actually, I thought he was a fell runner at first, but he wasn't half shifting. We were starting to feel a bit inadequate, weren't we?
Still, he was a long way away from us, so we didn't actually have an encounter, so that doesn't count, I don't think. One of the things I realised just as we were walking is that, I know I've walked with Colin before, you've used a Gossamer Gear Mariposa pack, but this is one of those Ray Jardine packs that comes in a kit and you make yourself. Yeah,
I thought I'd give it a go. It took about 2 days of hard work to get it assembled, but I'm quite pleased with the results. It's a good little pack. It's probably about 40 litres, I would say, with an extension collar, and as long as you're carrying a lightweight load, because there's no hip belt, then it seems to work very well.
No, it looks like quite a professional finish. It's it doesn't look as if it's been homemade in 2 days. So do you just get the plans for this, or do you get the material? Do you have to go out and source the whole stuff yourself?
No, it comes with plans, detailed instructions, and all the materials you need, and it's just a case of following step by step. If you can program your video recorder, then you'll have no problems making this.
Yeah, and I asked you earlier if you'd got a sewing machine, and how did you get on with that? And you didn't, but you found a fairly cheap solution to that.
Yeah, I went to Tesco, and the cheapest they had was about £35, and that's what I got, and it's worked well.
Yeah, and it's a kind of it's a decent size, as you say, made out of Sy nylon with some good pockets on the sides and the front. No hip belt, but it looks a very comfortable pack to carry.
It is, as long as you're not taking much weight or food. If I was doing something like the challenge, I'd take the Mariposa with the hip belt. But for this weekend, when I'm down to sort of 2.5 kilos plus food, and it's ideal for that.
Yeah, I've got my ULA conduit pack here, which is similar capacity, maybe a little bit smaller, but it's that doesn't have any back system at all. You stick your sleeping pad down the back of it, and it's been remarkably comfortable. And I'm wondering whether that is the kind of pack you'd take on the challenge with the challenge weight. If people can get away with carrying the Go Light packs that just have a little pad in the back, I don't see why that one shouldn't work. It feels reasonably comfortable at this load, anyway.
I would happily take that pack on the challenge. It's as with all ULA packs, they're well designed, well finished, and they've got materials that'll keep you going no matter what you go through. I would say I would quite happily take that.
Now, you keep your eyes on the gear scene pretty closely. Is there anything on your wish list for the next 6 months, the next year or so?
That's got me thinking. Think I'm pretty much anything. When I like my Gossamer Gear poles, but I also like the new titanium goat ones that are fully adjustable. I know Roman's got a pair of those, and I'll see how he gets on with them. And then maybe I'll consider getting a pair of them.
Now, you've got you used a digital mapping solution and also a digital mapping piece of software on your mobile phone, but you're not using Memory Map or Ancret, are you? It's a system I hadn't heard of before.
It's made by a company called Mapex, and it's sort of been on the market for the last couple of years, but it's very cheap compared to the competition. It's sort of less than half the price of what everybody else is charging for exactly the same features and exactly the same mapping software. So I can't really understand why it's not taking off as big as maybe it should be.
And the mobile phone, although it doesn't have a GPS in it, it has the full mapping system on it. I've not come across that either.
That's a slightly different system. It's a different make. It's called View Ranger, where that gives you full OS maps on your mobile phone. And certainly with something like the new Nokia N95 that's got a built-in GPS, it'll do everything you want for, there's no weight disadvantage in taking it. If you carry a mobile phone, then you may as well have this as well.
Yeah, I can see there's a glint in your eye there. Obviously, the next time your contract's up for renewal, that's gonna be a purchase, I think. But what about in the world of conventional gear, but not the technological side of it? The new Cuban fibre tarp looks good, but anything else you got your eyes on?
I think I'm pretty much sorted with everything now. I can't see any major purchases now. I know where I am with rucksacks, with shelters, and footwear as well, so I think I'm pretty much there.
Yeah, it's quite... I think that is a good message to send out to people looking to experiment in the lightweight world, is that there is a time when you finish. You get your kit and you it's not... This isn't just an occupation for people who've got almost compulsive kit buying disorder.
I think you do keep seeing this. There's always something new comes out, and you think, well, that could be good, and that might be good as well. And sometimes you take a chance and buy them, but a lot of the time you can look at them and you can just see it's all gimmicks. But as I said, now I think I pretty much know what's what with the kit, and I'm quite happy with what I've got.
There is, of course, a trade-off for durability, isn't there? You wouldn't expect some of this stuff to be quite as durable as other heavy-duty gear, but I guess perhaps in the UK's conditions we've got to be maybe a little bit more wary of that than you would be if you were hiking in some of the US states.
You do have to be careful. So obviously with the Cuban fibre tarp, it can get punctured very easily, so you don't kneel on it and you don't pitch it where it's going to get rubbing against bushes or anything like that. So you've got to be careful of that. And obviously things like Innovate shoes, they don't last as long. Sil nylon packs, again, you've got to be careful when you're you're near rocks and things like that. But apart from that, if you can be careful with your gear, then there's no problems.
Well, I think it's time for us to finish our little snack and have a drink, and then we'll be on our way. And maybe later we can talk about those long distance paths. And I know you were telling me on the climb up there's a new project lurking in the back of your mind, but we'll talk about that later. Well, we're now sitting in the bar of the Bryn Trick Inn in Capel Cerrig. We've had a pretty good morning, Colin.
Yep, really enjoyed it. The weather's turned good for us, and the walk itself was absolutely fantastic.
Now, before people start getting upset, I think we should point out that, yes, we do know that the mountaineering shelter is not on the side of Colin Llewellyn. We made a mistake. So, but we left the shelter, walked over the rocky ridge to Colin Llewellyn, and it was only then we started meeting other human beings.
Yeah, firstly, let's not say we made a mistake. You were navigating, Andy, so I believe that was your mistake. But we did see a lot of people later on, yeah.
Yeah, and great walk. Sun flicking in and out, but very, very good visibility, which you need in those hills. And as we came down the kind of slightly scrambly, rocky bit, we met a few other backpackers. One guy made us laugh a bit, didn't he? The heavyweight guy with the tent. Yeah,
he was lugging a few pounds up and down the hills, and he was still early in the morning, but he was complaining he was feeling a bit weary. He still had a fair few miles to go, didn't he?
Yeah, we resisted the temptation to give him one of Bob's cards and say this man could change your life. But when we told him we'd been camping, he kind of looked at our diminutive loads compared to his and sniggered a little, didn't he?
I don't think he actually believed we were camping. I think he just thought we were perhaps just taking the mickey.
Anyway, we let him struggle on up the scramble with a load that was at least twice as much too heavy. But anyway, we then followed the ridge all the way down to the A5 as it runs through from Capacerrig to Lake Ogwyn, and then just strolled down into Capacerrig, had lunch at the Pinnacle Cafe, and now we're having a beer before we start to look for a campsite at the end of the evening. I thought it would be an interesting time to talk about some of your walking, really, because we know you as an ultralight hiker, obviously, through the podcasts and the challenge and the blogs, but you've actually done quite an impressive amount of long-distance walking.
Yeah, it all started for me in the late 80s when I was doing my Duke of Edinburgh Silver. And I was staggering along this path one day, and I saw a Pennine Way sign, and I thought, one day I'd like to be good enough to be able to walk that route. Anyway, I didn't really do anything for a couple of years, and then I just suddenly decided, right, I'm going to walk this, which I went out and I did that. I then decided I was going to walk across England, so I did Wainwright's Coast to Coast. Then decided I was going to walk across Scotland, so I did Southern Upland Way. And then I thought, well, I'll go a bit further afield. So I went to both North and South America, and crossed across the Grand Canyon, went across to South America, and then spent a month in the jungle there, and did a bit of mountaineering over there as well, before finishing at the Angel Falls, which was a really, really, really good trip. Next few years after that, I walked almost all of the national trails. There's a couple I haven't done, but most of them I've done at least once. And sort of in 1999, I decided, right, I'm going to do Land's End John O'Groats. So in 2000, that's what I did. I walked that. Took me 61 days and covered 1,300 miles. Really enjoyed that trip as well. And then after that, I thought, well, what am I going to do now? So I thought I'd try a bit of cycling. So I went over to New Zealand and did a 4,000-mile cycle ride around the North Island of New Zealand. 2006, I went back to New Zealand and did 4,000 miles on the South Island of New Zealand. And sort of after that, I've been to Australia, spent a bit of time in the Blue Mountains there, and that sort of brings me up to now, and I'm just done the challenge, and now I'm here with you again.
It's an impressive list of cycle exploration and walking exploration, but you don't do it to write about it, do you? This is just purely you exploring the world and presumably exploring the limits of your own abilities, really. But even trying to fit that lot into a schedule is quite difficult to do. I mean, how much planning is involved in actually being able to find the time to do one of those kind of trips?
Well, firstly, you need a very understanding boss to get the time off. But there is a lot of... All these trips take months and months and months of planning. Probably for something like Land's End John O'Groats, it's probably 4 months of planning. New Zealand, being a country you don't know, probably 6 months. You could do it a lot quicker than that, but I like to have a good idea where everything is before I actually get out there.
Now, I'm tempted to ask you what the highlights were, and I know you're going to say to me all of it, but, I mean, are there a couple of areas, particularly in other parts of the world, that you think, yeah, one day I'm going to go back and do some further exploration there?
I'm certainly going to go back to the Southern Alps in New Zealand on the South Island, because that was just absolutely stunning. And I only sort of passed through it on a bike, so to actually get off on foot and walk through that area, I think is probably would be a big highlight for me in the future.
Is that one of these areas where you're doing those trails where they limit the numbers?
No, it's not. They the ones that limit the numbers on are the big commercial ones over there, where you've got to like book your accommodation in advance. You can only walk them certain times in certain directions. They just don't appeal to me. I prefer to do the ones where you just get away and do what you want to do when you want to do it.
Yeah, I've met a few people who've been to New Zealand and have come back a bit kind of shocked because they said there's actually not a walking infrastructure there, and you'd think there was from all that we read about the, you look at the Lonely Planet guides and whatever.
Access is really poor in New Zealand. Access to the hills, all the land's privately owned, and the landowners just don't like you being there. But something like, I say, the Southern Alps, which isn't really used for anything, is open, and you can pretty much go wherever you want now.
Okay, so that kind of brings us up to date. And you were telling me last night you were beginning to think about the next big trip, some plans being made. In fact, you've almost planned half of it already, I think. Yeah,
I've got a couple of trips in mind. I would really love to walk around the entire coastline of Britain. That's since I've done my Lands on John O'Groats, I sort of thought, well, what's next in the UK? And sort of I think that is probably the ultimate thing you can do in the UK. So that's sort of halfway planned at the moment. And I'd also thought of a cycling trip as well. I think I'd like to sort of cycle out to Australia, all the way from here. Obviously, there's a few ferries involved, but I'd really love to do that as well.
Now, various people I know have done the all around the coast of Britain walk, but it's not an easy thing to do, is it? Access is quite difficult in some stretches.
Yeah, access certainly in England and Wales is a bit poor at the moment. I know Wales is trying hard to open up their coast, and I'm hoping England's going to do the same. But Scotland has already done that, so hopefully the other two will as well.
Yeah, now of course you live in Scotland, so you've got easy access to those hills. I mean, how often are you out?
I try and get out every second weekend. That's for 2 or 3 days at a time.
Yeah, that's not bad actually. And you do a mixture of hill walking and coastal path walking and everything really?
Mainly hill walking, but I like the coast as well, so I do try and go to the coast whenever possible.
Okay, and how long is it going to take to finish planning this round Britain walk?
Oh, I'm in no rush. I can't do it for a few more years yet until I can get the time off work. So I'm just doing a bit here and a bit there, and it'll probably take me another, year or so.
Well, the time will whiz round very quickly, so we must remember that. And whatever the future of podcasting is, or whatever follows podcasting, I'm sure we want to try and find some way of keeping tabs on you as you do that adventure. Anyway. We've got our beers here, and we're still in need of sustenance, so we're going to drink these and then head up back into the lower Colorado to try and find a wild campsite for tonight. And it's a little bit more blustery and more breezy, so perhaps there won't be as many midges this evening.
No, I think we'll be quite free of midges tonight. There is quite a bit of a gusty wind out there.
Famous last words. Well, I suppose the thing about North Wales, Snowdonia in particular, is that even great days can change very quickly. And although the weather forecast tomorrow is good, as you can no doubt hear, the rain is bucketing down here. I'm quite pleased that I've got a full coverage tarp here. So I've got bags and bags of room pitched into the wind. Colin's effort is a little bit more minuscule, but I'll just try and see how he's getting on. Colin, how are you doing?
Doing alright so far.
You're not too wet?
Not yet.
Oh, he seems to be okay at the moment, and but there's very little wind, so it's going to just wash off the tarps. We found quite a nice camp spot again. We climbed back up from Capel Cerrig along a leisure walk to a large reservoir, which is one of those walks that the guidebooks suggest you keep for rainy days when the tops are very inhospitable. And so, of course, it's 8 o'clock now, there's not a soul about, and there's nothing else for it except to climb into the sleeping bag and the bivvy bag and to sit it out. So we'll speak to you in the morning. Well, it's about 6:30 in the morning, and as you can probably hear, The rain is tipping down. And not only did the rain come down last night, but we had some pretty ferocious winds as well. But we're still in one piece, even though the wind direction changed a bit. And Colin's tiny tarp, it was quite comfortable, and he claims he's fine as well. Just looking out towards the east, the cloud is beginning to break a bit, so maybe this will just die down as the morning progresses. Anyway, I think this is going to be it from us for this morning, as we just sit out and hope maybe in the next hour or so the rain drops. But noisy night because of the wind and the rain. It would have been noisy in the tent, but you know, we're comfortable and we're dry, which is the main thing. Well, my optimism was misplaced. The rain continued to fall heavily, and it was so damp that our main problem was not the rain falling from the sky, but the water that bubbled up from underneath the grass. It wasn't a nice morning at all, and so we decided to make our way back to the car via a low-level route. Although things cleared up, our path took us along some very rough and open ground, and through reed beds that were up to shoulder level. The going was hard and slow, and when we reached the car, it was time to hit the road, and we really didn't get the chance to finish off this podcast properly. The best laid plans of mice and men, I guess. Still, we'd managed to cram a lot into a small time. We'd walked on high open ground, found some solitary camp spots, and generally had a great time. With just a little planning, a weekend in Snowdonia can be more than simply the usual choices. I hope our walk inspires you to make your next weekend in Snowdonia a walk on the wild side. I'm Andy Howell, and I'll be back sometime soon with some more stories of wild and lightweight hiking. In the meantime, take care, and I hope to meet you sometime down the road.
This independent programme has been brought to you by The Outdoors Station, the exciting new way to see and hear free information about the outdoors world. If you're a blogger, or if you have a website, you can now incorporate any of these podcasts directly to your site, completely free. Visit our website, theoutdoorstation.co.uk, for more information.